The cold wind whipped through the dust-filled air, and the scent of leather and livestock hung thick in the atmosphere. The auction barn was old, worn by time and weather, standing like a monument to forgotten dreams at the heart of a remote ranching outpost. Every splintered beam seemed to echo the stories of men who had won and lost everything within its walls. The murmurs of a gathered crowd filled the barn, low and persistent, a fog of judgment and anticipation. This was the place where lives were measured not in years but in bids, where worth was calculated in fast-ticking dollars, and where second chances came at a price. Among the rugged ranchers and seasoned buyers, one figure didn't quite fit. 17-year-old Eli Garner stood toward the back, his boots powdered in red dirt from the long walk across his grandfather's land. His dark hair was tousled from the wind, and the faded flannel shirt clung to his narrow frame. Eli wasn't like the others. Where they were built of bulk and bark, he was quiet and careful, his gaze restless. He never stood tall enough to blend in and never felt tough enough to belong. His classmates had made it clear he didn't fit their mold of what a cowboy was supposed to be. He didn't fight, didn't spit tobacco, and didn't chase cheap thrills. There was something softer in Eli, something people didn't always see as strength. The auctioneer barked over the loudspeaker, his voice crackling with gravel and sun. "All right, folks. What we got next here's a fixer-upper. Mustang stallion, maybe 4 or 5 years old. Skin and bones, but maybe someone out there's got the guts to give him a shot." The doors creaked open, and the horse was led into the ring. It was a haunting sight. The Mustang was dark bay, his ribs sharp under a dull coat. His legs trembled from the weight of standing, and his wide, terrified eyes darted from face to face. The murmurs of the crowd shifted to scoffs and laughter. "Poor thing's not worth a dime," someone muttered behind Eli, and a wave of chuckles followed. The auctioneer glanced around for any raised hands, but most shook their heads or turned away. "Guess no one's feeling generous today," he said, his voice laced with sarcasm. "Anyone gonna waste their feed on this wreck?" Eli's chest ached as he looked into the Mustang's eyes. There was something there, something that mirrored how he felt every time someone told him he wasn't enough. Every time he heard his grandfather's voice saying, "Don't waste time on lost causes, boy. Life's hard. Don't make it harder by caring too much." But he couldn't help it. Before he even realized what he was doing, Eli raised his hand. The auctioneer blinked, genuinely surprised. "Well, I'll be," he chuckled. "We got a bidder." "You serious, kid?" Eli cleared his throat. 500. The room erupted in jeers. 500, someone scoffed. Kid's lost his damn mind. But Eli didn't flinch. His ears burned, but his spine stayed straight. This wasn't for them. This wasn't about approval. It was about saving something that nobody else would. 500 going once. Going twice. The gavel hit the block. Sold. The crowd's laughter faded as Eli led the Mustang, whom he named Boone, out of the ring. Boone's body shuddered with each step, but he followed. Slowly, uncertainly. Back at the ranch, Eli's grandfather, Warren Garner, watched from the porch, arms crossed. The creaking of Eli's boots on the dirt path announced his arrival, and the look on the old man's face was as unreadable as the horizon. "That the horse you bought?" Warren asked, his tone flat. Eli nodded. "Yeah. His name's Boone." Warren spat on the dirt and shook his head. "You bought bones in fear. That horse won't make it through the month." "I think he will," Eli said softly. "He just needs someone to believe in him. Believing don't put meat on ribs or strengthen legs." "He's broken, Eli." "Just like," Warren stopped himself. "Just don't get too attached." But it was already too late for that. That night, Eli sat in the barn with Boone. He didn't try to touch him. He didn't force anything. He just sat in the straw, cross-legged, reading softly from one of his favorite books. Boone stood in the corner, eyes watchful and wary, muscles twitching with the memory of pain. Over the next days, Eli returned again and again. After school, after chores, he'd go straight to the barn. Boone never came close, but his flinches became less violent. His breathing slowed when Eli spoke. He started eating a little more each day. Eli learned not to move too fast, not to reach before Boone was ready. It was like building a bridge over a canyon one plank at a time. Warren watched from a distance, unimpressed. "You're wasting daylight," he'd grumble. "Ain't gonna fix what's broke." But Eli didn't care. He wasn't trying to fix Boone. He was trying to understand him. And slowly, Boone began to change. One evening, As the sun spilled gold through the barn windows, Boone stepped forward, just once, and sniffed Eli's hand. Eli froze, holding his breath. Boone's muzzle touched his palm, then retreated, but Eli's heart swelled. It was working. Word got out in town. The boy who wasted $500 on a walking skeleton. Eli tried to ignore it. But when he entered the diner one afternoon and heard the boys from school, especially Chase Leland, the ringleader, mocking him across the room, it was hard not to feel the sting. He's gonna enter that thing in the spring festival rodeo, Chase laughed. Can't wait to watch him eat dirt. Eli didn't respond. He just kept his head down. But that night, as he brushed Boone's coat, he whispered, "We're gonna prove them wrong. Not because we have to, but because we can." Warren thought the idea was foolish. You ride that horse in front of a crowd, and you're gonna humiliate yourself. I'm not doing it for the crowd. Spring festival came fast. The arena buzzed with energy, flags waving, cattle bellowing, horses thundering through warm-up laps. Eli and Boone stood near the gate. Boone's coat, once dull, now had a sheen. He still trembled slightly, but he held his head higher than before. Eli leaned close, resting his forehead against Boone's. No matter what happens out there, we walk out together. Got it. Boone nickered softly. The gate opened. They stepped into the arena, and the crowd went silent. Eli didn't race. He didn't rush. He guided Boone carefully through the first pattern, slow, steady turns, weaving between barrels. Boone stumbled once, but caught himself. Then came the jump. Eli held his breath as Boone lifted, clearing it by inches. The crowd gasped. They finished near last. But they finished. The arena burst into applause. As Eli dismounted and led Boone off the field, he didn't feel embarrassed. He felt proud. For the first time, people weren't laughing. They were nodding, clapping, some even cheering. Later, a man approached him by the stables. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a firm handshake and a voice like gravel. "Name's Hank Merritt," he said. "I train horses. I saw what you did with that Mustang. That's something special." Eli nodded, unsure. "I've got a place up north. Training program. Top-tier facilities. You ever think about putting Boone in real competition? I can help." It was everything Eli had imagined. But when he looked at Boone, his partner, his friend, he couldn't picture letting someone else take over. "Thanks," Eli said, "but he's not for sale. He's where he belongs." The weeks passed. The story spread. Local papers, social media. Messages flooded in from people saying Boone reminded them of themselves, scared, discarded, but still standing. Warren didn't say much, but one evening he offered a simple, quiet nod. "You did right by that horse," he said. "And by yourself." Eli smiled. For once, he felt seen. That summer, he and Warren started something new. A local program called Broken Trail, a place where troubled kids could come work with rescued horses. It was slow going, but one girl, Jess, broke through. She bonded with a stubborn mare named Whiskey. One day, Jess whispered, "She trusts me." Eli smiled. "Because you earned it." And that's what the program became, about earning trust, building bridges, one careful step at a time. Eli watched those kids change, and in their progress, he saw himself. He'd saved Boone, and Boone had saved him right back. Their story wasn't about winning ribbons. It was about proving that even the most broken souls could still run, still leap, still live. And as the sun dipped low on another long day, Eli stood beside Boone, watching the horizon. The wind tugged at his shirt, and Boone's mane danced with it. "We've got a lot more work ahead of us," he said softly. Boone nickered, and together, they turned toward the barn, toward the future.